Opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
You're live. Welcome in. Happy Saturday to you. Jackson Groff, Mike Gross, Mike Bauer. We're out here at the CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona, Loop 101 in McKellips. Happy you could spend part of your day with us. We already had breakfast. They hook us up every Saturday, and you should come check it out. Great food options out here, and drink specials, and then take advantage of the sports book. The big screens TVs fired up. A lot of NCAA stuff going on. You got college baseball, college softball. You got the WNBA on right now. We're hanging on pins and needles, watching Caitlin Clark trying to close out this game. They're up by 3, I think. By 2, correction, 25 seconds to go in that one. So, but anyways, big screen TVs and a great staff out here. Take good care of you. Come on out and see us. CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona, Loop 101 and McKellips. Jackson, my man, how you doing? Did you have a good week?
Yeah, doing great. The dog days of summer. I want to remind our listeners we are 12 Saturdays away from college football. Just want to remind everyone every single Saturday that we're inching closer and closer to another Saturday of college football. But Gross, I mean, there's a lot to talk about in a summer where there's not a lot going on. We got the NBA Finals, but we got to wait a whole week. We're going to talk about the early lines and what do the sports books think about this matchup? What do we think about this matchup? Because, I mean, heading into the playoffs, the Celtics were a heavy favorite for the East, heavy favorite to win it all. But on the West side, it was Denver, and behind them, I think it was maybe OKC, maybe some Clippers, the Suns, and then the Mavericks. And then when the Timberwolves did well against the Nuggets, heavy favorite to win the Western Conference, and we're up there to win it all. But that was not the case. Luka Doncic, and we're going to talk about that 20-point first quarter he had and the impact and how these teams will match up against each other. Because I think both teams, fascinating. I mean, you've got one team being the Boston Celtics. They like to shoot the hell out of the ball from the perimeter. And then you've got the Mavs, who are kind of slower pace. They've got their 2 superstars, but they're role players, very important to what they want to do if they want to win the NBA Finals.
100%. And, I think that when you look at the East, right, it was a foregone conclusion, right? The only surprise in the East would have been the Celtics not advancing to the finals, right? And we talked about this last week. You don't make excuses for anyone, but you understand the road to the finals for the Celtics was going to be not that challenging to begin with, but it became infinitely clear that it was easier because of all the injuries in the East. You look at the Bucks and the Cavaliers and the Knicks. I mean, they were the Pacers dropping like flies as these series were unfolding. And if you're the Celtics, all you can do is take advantage of what's there in front of you, and they did that, and they did it beautifully, right? And I think, though, that what that does is it sets them up for the fact that, they did not have to expend themselves as much to get there. And now because of the scheduling, and let's not call it scheduling, because of TV, we're not going to have game 1 in the NBA Finals until Thursday. So that's almost a full week off for both teams. The Mavericks certainly needed a lot more than the Celtics. And then on the Western Conference side, you hit the nail on the head, Jackson. It was supposed to be Denver. Where's Denver? They're not here. Well, the Timberwolves took them out, so it's got to be them, right? The Suns, we're not going to relitigate that, but how disappointing the finish was here, not even making out of the first round, and it stinks. Like when you think about doing what we do, and certainly other shows and media and fans, of course, we expect to be talking basketball certainly into May and hopefully into June as Suns fans, and that didn't pan out. You got your Mavericks. And, the other thing that you can count on all the time when the Mavericks do well is, could you imagine what would have happened if the Suns would have drafted Luka? And okay, we're going to relitigate that again. So, yeah, it's been a real interesting run. And, look, I'm not a Mavericks fan. I'm not a Luka fan, but I'm interested to see what he does on the big stage. This is huge for him, huge for this franchise.
And we were talking about it yesterday on Rock and Minutes with Jimmy B, and Rock was kind of talking about how why is Kyrie different why is Kyrie's attitude different? Why is he playing different? I said on the show, he's had that time in Cleveland where he was the number 2 and looked up to a guy like LeBron. Now he's kind of getting older, and what he's learned from LeBron and what he did for him leadership-wise, and he's kind of implementing that for this roster. You got a young roster with guys like Derek Lively, P.J. Washington, Josh Green, key guys, even Gafford down low, who have never played in the NBA Finals. And I think with Kyrie being there and being a mentor to Luka, I mean, you saw him after the postgame with the Inside the NBA. They're trying to get all these answers out of him, and he's just short and sweet. Yes, we won this. We've got 4 more to go. So he's level-headed. I think he's a different mindset. I'm really interested to see what the sports books have for him, because I think he's going to be over 33 to 35 points per game. And Kenny Smith made a point the other day, too. He said, Boston's got 4 players that can guard Luka. Charles said he's got 4 players that can guard Luka. And Kenny's like, no. They've got no one that can guard Luka. But the thing is how can they stop the other role players? How can they limit Kyrie Irving and the guys down low? I think it's going to be a fascinating series. I know we looked into it hoping for the Nuggets and the Celtics just because we wanted to see a two-peat. But this matchup with Kyrie going back to Boston, a possible Porzingis going back to Dallas, is pretty much the best-case scenario for what NBA fans and what sports fans want to see starting on Thursday.
And I think the other thing that this shows you when you talk about the two-peat is in professional sports how hard it is to repeat. And there's the physical aspect, of course. I mean, these are the greatest athletes on the planet, right? So I understand that part of it. But I think a lot of it, too, is mental. Like, you think about everything that it takes to get to the point where they were able to win that last year and what that meant to that franchise and what that meant to that city and, by extension, those players to have to step up. And you think about it, you play into June if you're playing for a championship, and then you turn around, and before you know it, training camp's upon you. And a lot of these guys are playing in international competitions and that sort of thing during the summer. So just a mental grind that you go through as a professional athlete and to win it at that level and how hard it is to come back. And I think the fact that you can point in all the sports where you have these repeat champions, I think you need to celebrate them even more when you think about that, right? When you think about what they're able to accomplish. So we'll keep into this conversation about the NBA. We got till Thursday, so there's any number of ways we can get in there and digest it, dissect it, and look at numbers. And importantly, Jackson, look at it. What does Las Vegas think? What are the odds telling us?
Yeah, so preseason, I want to go back before the season even started with the NBA. What were the odds for both of these teams to win the NBA Finals? The Celtics at plus 450. They were tied with the Nuggets at plus 450, and this will make Suns fans upset. Suns were plus 600 before the season even started. The Dallas Mavericks plus 2,500 before the playoffs even started. Celtics were plus 160 to win the NBA championship, and the Dallas Mavericks were plus 1,600. So for those who bet on the Mavericks early, you're definitely holding on to that ticket. One last series.
All right, switching gears a little bit, the NHL, they continue their conference finals tonight, 5 o'clock our time on ABC. You've got the Rangers at the Panthers. The Panthers getting ready to close out the Blue Shirts this evening in I think it's Sunrise, Florida, in South Florida anyways. And I looked at this, and we talked about this on the show throughout the course of the playoffs, how for sports, if you're not invested in any one team, how cool it is when the big markets that haven't been there are making a run. And the Rangers for me were that, as a hockey person, as somebody who appreciates the history of a sport that doesn't necessarily compete on the same stage that some of the other big sports does, right? The Rangers at Madison Square Gardens, how cool that was. But, man, this Florida Panthers team is playing very, very well. And we'll do our picks later in the show, but will not be shocked when this thing gets closed out. Florida's your favorite, your money line favorite at minus 170 tonight. The over-under at goals, 5.5. And we've started to see a little bit more scoring action as these conference finals have progressed. We talked last weekend about how most of these games were playing under five goals per game, and Las Vegas typically, like you see tonight and tomorrow in both game sixes, set the over-under at 5.5 goals. So starting to see more and more scoring. I'll be interested to see how this goes when you've got the Rangers and the Stars getting ready to play elimination games in the respective series, and the Stars and the Edmonton Oilers tomorrow night. Again, 5 o'clock our time. That one on TNT. Your money line favorite there, the Edmonton Oilers at minus 140. So, you're looking right now at an Edmonton, Florida championship if these things hold. Both these teams on their home ice getting ready to close it out. And I think that's fascinating. There's so many different stories. The hockey purist, pulling for the Rangers, and you got a Sunbelt team getting ready to go play for the Stanley Cup again. And then you've got the weight of Canada on Edmonton. And I know that people say that's no big deal because you've got, Canadian players on all kinds of teams. They're not just on Edmonton or Toronto. But that's out there. The fact that a Canadian-based franchise has not won the Stanley Cup since 1994.
Wow.
Since the Montreal Canadiens did it. That's real, right? And so the pressure on Edmonton. At the start of these playoffs, I personally was looking at an Edmonton-Toronto final, two really talented teams. Obviously, we know what happened to the Maple Leafs, but the stars are shining for Edmonton, and they're playing really, really well.
So I got two things. One, I find it's fascinating how the sports book, after every single one of these games, changes who's going to win the Stanley Cup. Last week we talked Dallas Stars were a heavy favorite. Now it's the Panthers at plus 125, followed by the Edmonton Oilers at plus 155, and then the Dallas Stars plus 650, Rangers plus 900. So I think it's fascinating how every single week, every single game, it changes in how tight these four teams are. My second question to you is, would you kind of say that Connor McDavid is kind of like the Luka Doncic for the NBA, whereas Connor McDavid, kind of the face of the league, a young and up-and-comer, and if he could maybe lead his team to the Stanley Cup and win that, would kind of solidify face of the NHL and kind of bolster his resume? Would you say that kind of how Luka is for the Mavericks?
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, looking for that face of the league, yeah, I can see that, but I think their stories are so much different, and their backgrounds, and their, you've got a Canadian guy on a Canadian team and things like that. But they're both stars. They're both amazing in their own right in their respective sports. I get it, but I don't want to go all in on that, if that makes sense. But McDavid is a superstar personified, and I think you could say the same about Luka. And I think the argument that you're making transcends the fact that if one or both of these guys win a championship this year, that puts them on a completely different level once that happens. And that's been the knock. And that we know that in professional sports, like, he's the greatest guy ever, except, well, he never won a championship. Never led his team to a championship. And you know how that narrative changes once that happens. Real quickly, as we wrap this segment up, Arizona Diamondbacks, they play game 3 of the 4-game series at the Mets. Man, rough going, bad luck for the Diamondbacks. 3-7 in their last 10. They're 25-32 on the season, and they are quickly fading in the wild card race. So we'll talk a little bit about the Diamondbacks later on. All right, our guy Ryan Cirk, our national champion, never fails. Every Saturday sends us a text. It was the EPL pick of the week, but they're on hiatus. It's a break, I guess. They take some time off in soccer. Imagine that. But the Championships League final is going on, and something he really likes. He likes Jude Bellingham, who plays for Real Madrid, is playing against his former team in the finals. He's starting at striker, and he is plus 100 to score or get an assist. And that's what we're taking in our soccer pick of the week. This week it's a Champions League final. Jude Bellingham, plus 100 for a goal or an assist today. And we'll keep an eye on that. And that's our pick of the week from Ryan Cirk. He's Jackson Groff. I'm Mike Gross. You're listening to Take the Points here on Fox Sports 910. We'll step aside. More to come on the other side.
Take the Points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandido Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Rubber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxidation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbandidoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do. But not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and online at wrighttoyota.com.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part? We don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at venezias.com. That's venezias.com. Venezia's, a family and catering tradition.
Do you ever have a case of the Mondays? You won't if you tune in to Rockin' the Nooch with Jimmy B from 1 till 4 as they broadcast live from the CAZ Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. That's every Monday from Casino, Arizona.
I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Have you been charged with a crime you didn't commit? It happens more than you think. When your liberty is on the line, you need an experienced attorney that will aggressively fight for you. Lerner & Rowe Law Group handles DUI and all other criminal charges. And with our affordable payment plans, it's easier than you think to get the defense you need. If the police made a mistake, call Lerner & Rowe today. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to take your call.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Arizona's largest locally owned A-plus BBB rated towing company is All City Towing. They're always looking to add motivated and competitive team members. Do you fit the bill? If so, head on over to allcitytowing.com/careers for more information.
Hey, this is Kelly Cooper. Are you ready for the ultimate sports experience? Look no further than BKD's Backyard Joint. At BKD's, we're not just a sports bar. We're the destination for the best food, drinks, and sports experience in the Valley. Located at the corner of Pecos and McQueen and Chandler, get ready to score big on fun and flavor. Only at BKD's Backyard Joint, where every day is game day. Check us out online at bkdsbackyard.com. That's bkdsbackyard.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for
watch every game, Jack.
Required price.
A UFL expert.
Plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online. Go to
I like that one team, Texas.
Through HIMS, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to HIMS.com.
There's an awful announcing article yesterday where they were talking about how like, the ratings are pretty decent.
Home Depot, and that means it's time to
about a little less than 1 million viewers for like every game.
In ground or in containers.
Which is crazy to me anyway.
With savings on soil and potting mix. Give your plants the nourishment they need. The continuous food release of Miracle Grow 0.75 cubic foot garden soil on special buy 4 for $10. And give all your container plants the foundation.
Happy Pride Month, Jackson.
25 quart.
Hello.
Proud of him.
Did he not tell you guys he was off this week? Yeah, he was posted on his Instagram. He's in Denver for a concert last night.
Back to Take the Point, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
We're always the last ones to find stuff out around here.
Yeah, no Bauer today, huh? that good communication. We've all been together for almost 2 years, us three, and you know, we have our headset here ready for Bauer to walk through the door after he does backspin and come join us. But no, not today. And it's all right. He's in Denver. We weren't going to talk about the Chicago Bears anyways, which is nice. So I'm glad that, you know, he has some time off.
Coming up on June 26th, Jackson, the NBA draft. And I think, you know, part of what needs to be done first and foremost is set the record straight because some of the national media doesn't seem to get it quite right. The Phoenix Suns do, in fact, have a first-round draft pick this year. So that argument or that narrative, like the team that has no draft capital, is not exactly correct. don't have a ton of draft capital, but they do have a draft pick this year. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Jackson, they pick in the number 22 spot this year. And a lot of interesting stories swirling around with this team. And I think, when you end a season the way you end it, you kind of bring some of that on yourself, if that makes sense, right? This is a team that we figured we'd be talking about definitely into May and fingers crossed into June as the NBA playoffs rolled on, but that didn't happen. So now we set our sights on the draft, and like I said, some of the crazy stories that are out there about what they might do and what they should do, and here's what I'm hearing, and you got to take it all with a grain of salt, but just very interesting to see. And and I don't know, you correct me if I'm wrong, ridiculous might be too strong of a word, is that they take that number 22 pick and they draft Bronny James out of USC in hopes that help them attract Bronny James's father to come play for the team.
I think it's pretty ridiculous, and I know there's people out there saying that LeBron's got so much money, he's going to take the veteran minimum, and he's going to leave $50 million on the table to get $3 million to play with his son. It would come to a situation if the Suns did draft him, and to be at 22, to be honest, I think would be bogus. I think if they did trade 22 and were to get a couple more second-round picks, I still think it would be a ridiculous pick for the Phoenix Suns to get Bronny James. This is a guy that has not proven to be a scorer. No offense to Bronny James. If he did not have that as his last name being James, he would not be in consideration to be a pick in this draft, point blank, period. I think this Phoenix Suns team, when you look at the motto of the Dallas Mavericks, with their two superstars, you've got three superstars on your team, but you could argue Bradley Beal and what he did last year kind of, took a step down as a star player, maybe can be a star role player for this team next season. But you look at some of the impact players that have been in the playoffs. Derek Lively, a guy down low, rookie that they traded up for. You talk about veteran minimum guys like Derek Jones Jr. and a couple trades with P.J. Washington, and they find their way to the NBA Finals. I think the Suns could use that same method, go in, find yourself either a point guard in the draft, or there's a big guy that just played in Arizona for the Final Four named Zach Edey that would love to rebound for that big three and love to be a big presence down low and be someone on your offense alert from Yusuf Nurkic that could use the 22nd pick. I just don't buy it. I think with what Rich Paul has come out and said that we're not going to sign a two-way contract, and I know Matt Ishbia is probably in his ear if, hey, we sign your son, is LeBron going to think about coming? They're not saying anything if LeBron were to follow Bronny James. I just find it kind of sus. I find it a little skeptical. I just don't like the fact that we're going to get a guy in Bronny James, and he's good. He's a great defender apparently in college, but 4.5 points per game in his first year in college. I don't like it. And for LeBron to come out and say, Bronny's going to do his own thing, and for Bronny to say, I'm not Bronny James, I'm my own person, and to just stick in the draft, basically because, let's be honest, his father's probably saying, hey, my career is coming to an end. I want to play with you, son. Come to the NBA draft. It's just an all-around fishy situation. But for Matt Ishbia, he's made some bogus moves, and for him to do this, would you be shocked if Matt Ishbia pulled the plug here? I don't think I would.
No, I wouldn't be shocked at that at all. And, the other part of this thing is, Bronny, set that aside. I think you broke that down beautifully, right? The LeBron James angle. Like, what was the big issue with this team this year? Chemistry.
Fourth quarter chemistry.
Well, yeah, chemistry. And they're like, wow, we got the big three, and we can't get the chemistry down right. We can't get the chemistry, and we just don't have enough time together. We need the offseason and that. And then you add another player, a player of the stature of LeBron James. I don't know how that helps solve that problem either. No disrespect to LeBron James. How does that help you solve that problem? I just don't get it. I don't understand it. And I love your idea, because the other thing that you hear people say about the Suns in the draft is, well, what they really should do is draft that point guard. Can you imagine an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid coming in here and having the pressure of running the offense with the big three, right? Knowing that the point guard position was such a focus a year ago, or lack thereof was such a focus a year ago. And then to have a youngster come in and have to fill that role, I think would be tough. I think your idea of a big man, whether it's Zach Edey or somebody else, I'm just flipping through when you look in that, second half of the NBA draft, some of the bigs that are out there, right? You got the kid from Duke who might be there when they pick. You've got Zach Edey, of course, back-to-back Naismith Award winner. I'm not a huge fan of his, but I love the fact that you draft him and you're like, look, here's your job. Just what you said. You get in here, you burn minutes at the end, you get rebounds, and if you score, that's good. It's not necessary, but if you get in there and be a body, be those fouls that we need. And he seemed to have a little bit of a chip, not in a bad way, but a little bit of chip. Like if it gets a little physical, mix it up a little bit. Because again, the other thing you hear about this, didn't see the passion out of the team, didn't like the fourth quarter, like you were talking about. So one of the bigs that are there in the back half of the first round would be, I think, a good thing as well. Zach Edey, 7'4", 300 pounds. Like, you need that in the NBA, right? And I for a minute don't understand. Look, I get it from in the era we live in. Hey, let me put something on Twitter and say this is a great idea and get the conversation going. But practically, when you take a step back and think about it, I just don't see how it works. And I think, unfortunately, in addition, you made two good points in one conversation. One, the Zach Edey type player at 22. But the wild card in all this isn't James Jones. It isn't the draft, the people that are scouting doing that. It's the owner. This is a very active owner.
He came in and he said he wanted to change the franchise and he wanted to be a part of an NBA franchise and be having control with it. He might have a little too much control when he came in and right within a month of being hired, traded for Kevin Durant. And then he came out and traded for Bradley Beal and got all these acquisitions and re-signed Devin Booker and got rid of Chris Paul and stuff like that. And, this is a move with Matt Ishbia's history. And he's done a lot of great stuff. I'm not disregarding what Matt Ishbia has done. He's definitely put the Suns on the map and a bigger brand. He's done a lot for the community with the whole cable stuff going on and with the WNBA and with the G League team and stuff like that. But this move being Bronny James and being the likely, we could get LeBron James. And LeBron would bring the point guard aspect and would bring the fourth quarter aspect. But you got four shooters coming into the fourth quarter, that last shot. I just think there's a lot of, I don't want to say ego. It's just a lot of tribulation and just some not really good chemistry when it comes down to that. I think for the Phoenix Suns, though, in terms of the NBA draft, I know there's been experts out there saying the NBA draft is not full of superstar talent. It's one of the weakest drafts, they say, in a couple years. But when you look at today's NBA, we're transitioning from the super teams to having two superstars with great role players around it. I think this NBA draft is full of older players due to the transfer portal, due to NIL, due to COVID, that can come in and have immediate impact as role players on a rookie contract. For the Phoenix Suns, point guard-wise, I think a guy that could come in and fill those shoes and not be phased is a guy like Tyler Kolek from Marquette, who's 23 years old, averaged 17 and 8 assists. That's a guy that can come in and not be phased by the moment. Maybe at the start of the season, when you have a rookie point guard or a rookie center and Zach Edey might be a little rusty, but you look at a guy like Derek Lively right now in the playoffs who has not missed a single shot in that whole Minnesota Timberwolves series. He could start to pick things rolling towards the playoffs when they need a guy most.
He's Jackson Groff. I'm Mike Gross. We'll step aside and be right back on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Investing in a high-quality misting system from Fogco will be the coolest decision you ever make for your home patio, pool area, or commercial property. Fogco, the Valley's original manufacturer of high-pressure fog systems, is one of the pioneers in the misting industry for over 35 years. Let Fogco transform your outdoor living and entertainment areas into a cool and soothing tropical showcase. If you're looking for quality, reliability, and value, get a free quote at fogco.com. That's FOGCO.com.
Hey, this is Kelly Cooper. Are you ready for the ultimate sports experience? Look no further than BKD's Backyard Joint. At BKD's, we're the destination for the best food, drinks, and sports experience in the Valley. Located at the corner of Pecos and McQueen and Chandler, BKD's Backyard Joint, where every day is game day.
Celebrate Father's Day this year at Vans Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. Introducing the Ping G430 Max 10K driver. Straighter flies farther with Ping's straightest driver yet. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinder provides you the most accurate distances in golf. Now $50 off. Shop with us this Father's Day in store or online. Vans Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. get there.
If you haven't tried G2G protein bars, today is the day. Find them in your local Costco's refrigerated section or online at g2gbar.com. Incredible taste and packed with protein. They are perfect for your on-the-go lifestyle. Check them out today.
For RightToyota.com. At Right Toyota, they'd like you to get to know them. Their goal is to make buying your next vehicle the kind of experience that earns your recommendation to family and friends. They invite you to use all of their innovative web tools on RightToyota.com. So if you're looking for a new or pre-owned Toyota, head to their interactive website at RightToyota.com. The right price, the right selection, all at RightToyota.com.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, #SexyRoofStatus. All of our work using state-of-the-art materials and 5-star workmanship. Our inspections are free. You heard me? Free. Go to state48roofing.com to schedule your free appointment today.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AC Electrical Family at acelectricalfamily.com or call 602-577-1392. That's acelectricalfamily.com to book your free quote now. AC Electrical Family. Power up with the best.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part? We don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at venezias.com. That's venezias.com. Venezias, a family and catering tradition.
Big changes in life are often followed by big changes to your hair. Whether it's long, short, curly, straight, blonde, brown, or even purple, your hair is an expression of your identity. Pantene Infinite Lengths Pro Vitamin Formula rebuilds hair bonds as well as a leading luxury brand to keep your hair healthy so you can authentically express yourself. Pantene is proud to partner with iHeartRadio and P&G in supporting Can't Cancel Pride and the entire LGBTQ+ community. Links of strength of you. Learn more at can'tcancelpride.com.
The free iHeart app has over 100 commercial-free stations waiting for you to explore right now, like Real Fun Beach Radio.
I got my toes in the water.
Real Fun Beach Radio is commercial-free all summer and gives you that toes in the sand beach music vibe 24/7. Just open the free iHeart app, search Real Fun Beach Radio, and start listening.
Radio.
Free never sounded so good.
To take the points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Rolling along on a Saturday. We're out here at the CAZ Sportsbook, Casino, Arizona.
Happy June 1st, Gross.
I can't believe it.
Isn't that wild? That whole month of May just flew by.
I cannot believe how time is flying. And you said at the very beginning, and this is our MO. You and I have been doing the show together for a couple of years now. We always do that countdown. How many weeks till the first kickoff in college football and till the first kickoff in the NFL? Because that's really what gets us through the dog days of summer. We love baseball, but it's just hard to do a whole show like we do about baseball or golf or any of the other stuff.
Or the UFL. No UFL talk, but I do agree with you. I think in the second hour we'll definitely bring some football out, and we start to those that listened to the show last year. We did an NFL division, we did 2 NFL divisions, and we did a college football conference, and we just did that every single week for the duration of the dog days of summer, especially with the NBA Finals. That's like the last event, the last thing that you can cusp on to talk about when it talks to sports betting. And then after that, no offense to baseball, everyone's focus is to football.
Well, yeah, and the other thing that you go back to the college conference previews, we got to do our homework to make sure we get the conference alignments right. You know, we're doing the Big 12, just kind of a quick pass at it a little while ago. And, you're talking about that big West Virginia Central Florida matchup, trying to make sure that you account for all these alignments. We know the big ones, right? We know Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC, or we know the UCLA, USC, Washington, Oregon going to the Big Ten. But, the other ones, you gotta do your homework. This conference realignment, get teams lost in the shuffle. Side note, and we're far, far away from it, I can't wait to watch Big 12 basketball next year.
Oh, my goodness.
Because you talk about the SEC or the Big Ten, we can argue what's the best football conference. I don't think there's any question the way this thing's lining up that the Big 12 basketball, my goodness.
Well, the Big 12, you could technically say in the tournament-wise, didn't perform to standards that we expected. But when it comes to the 8 teams that made the tournament, they had the most teams. I think the second best was the SEC, and then I think the Big Ten was up there. Big East, a little disappointing. They had some teams in there, but I agree with you. The Big 12 with the Houstons, with the Arizonas, and
dude, you're sitting at home on a random Tuesday night in February flipping around. What's on TV? Oh, I know, Kansas at Arizona. Oh, yeah, let's check that out, right? I mean, that's crazy, the basketball, and obviously the tournament, that's part of it, but, it's a long college basketball season. I just think those in-game matchups, man, must-see TV throughout the course of the year. All right, we were, in our last segment, we were talking about the NBA draft, who makes sense, where, what, for the Suns, Jackson, and I think we both agree, and if I'm putting words in your mouth, certainly correct me, maybe the best expenditure of this pick that they have at number 22 is not trying to find the point guard of the future right now, just because of everything that goes along with being a point guard in the NBA, particularly on a team like the Phoenix Suns with the issues they had a year ago and the pressure that's going to be on this team when they roll it out next year. How about free agency? When you look at veteran point guards that are out there, and we talked about this throughout, probably about the time that the Suns got eliminated, and you set it up by this. You look at it, okay, what went wrong with the Suns this year, right? And you try to dissect that, right? Okay, number one, you hear about chemistry on the court, right? And that's understandable. Time will hopefully take care of that. Then the other thing you talk about is, they weren't the healthiest team in the league. They weren't as bad as maybe some of the players recent past, Bradley Beal, for example, would lead you to believe, but they did not play all. It's not like they played 55 or 60 games as the big three throughout the course of the season. But then the last piece is who's in charge? Who's in charge of this team? And I don't mean on the court, although that's part of it. Like, one of the things that you knew when the Suns made their run and played Milwaukee for the championship a couple years ago, and then the year after that, Chris Paul was a fixture, a feature, and you heard about things like in the locker room, you hear the stories about, the veteran presence that he brought. And I'm not necessarily advocating for Chris Paul to come back. He's under contract, though decisions have to be made for him and his situation in Golden State where they can part ways. But I'm talking about a veteran point guard that could come in here and fill that bill, and somebody that has the respect and can tell KD, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that, or get into Book a little bit. Because Devin Booker wasn't right all year, and I'm not talking about the physical. There's just something with Devin Booker this year. That type of player that could come in and maybe make an impact on this team.
Yeah, and I think you even look at rosters where there's point guards that you could trade for that are maybe in a lesser role, or maybe someone that's kind of looking on their way out, like maybe a guy like Alex Caruso from the Bulls, or a guy like TJ McConnell at a hell of a playoffs, but he's behind Halliburton in Nimbron right now, and he comes off the bench. Maybe he says, I'm a veteran guy. I want to be more of a veteran presence, a starting point guard in the NBA. Let me take my talent somewhere else. Just a matter of how much you could pay for him. What are the trade options? I know Nasir Little's been a name thrown out there. Nurkic's name's been thrown out there as terms of even that 2031 first-round pick being thrown out there to try to go get a point guard. Those are a couple options there. You look at the free agency market. We talked a couple weeks ago, Russell Westbrook being a name. You bring Chris Paul back. You bring a guy like Tyus Jones. It just kind of depends on what kind of leader and what they value in and what Budenholzer values in his point guard. Does he go get a point guard that he's had in the past? A lot of options for the Phoenix Suns, but I agree with you. I think the best option for them right now is to go get a point guard in free agency and go get another center or maybe a power forward a guy off the bench in the NBA draft and address that way.
You know, when we talked about who's really making the decisions and how is this going to play out, you look at things like, adding and point guard or whatever you might do through free agency. With that, does any subtractions come, right? Because that's part of it. If you're looking at this, and Matt Ishbia, like you said, he's done a lot. And a lot of it, the fans love the way how he burst on the scene and made an impact by getting Kevin Durant and by dealing with the fact that Bally Sports went out of business. But the other thing you have to look at if you're the Phoenix Suns, and this is the reality of it, particularly if you're Matt Ishbia, is where you're at from a payroll standpoint. Right now, as it stands, and I'm reading an article from Bright Side of the Sun where they break it down beautifully. Suns payroll, as it stands right now, Jackson, is at just shy of $209 million next year. Oof. I'm not asking anybody to feel bad for anybody, right? You're not writing the check, but you have to understand the business side of how these things play out. And the NBA has a salary cap, not as restrictive as what you might find in the National Football League, but you're still operating under a cap. And what you have are thresholds where it's going to cost the owner real dollars if he goes over these things. And the luxury tax threshold starts at $171 million. Blew by that like he was standing still. And then you got the first apron at 178, and then finally the next apron at 189. And so basically what that means is Matt Ishbia, as it stands right now, is going to be writing a lot of big checks to the NBA. And so do you want to do that if you're Matt Ishbia? So you can add, but at some point it's going to really cost you. And at some point, the other thing that's going to happen, because just because you can write a check doesn't mean you should, how are the other owners looking at you? Because they're the ones that put this in place before you ever showed up on the scene, right? And so they don't really want your money. This is put in place as a disincentive for teams to blow up the salary cap. And so do they deal with that? So to me, any conversation that you have about adding to this roster right now has to be taken with that lens. Do you add without subtracting? And if you say no, then who do you subtract to the existing roster? And you mentioned Yusuf Nurkic, and he's one. He's at $18.1 million right now. If you swap him out for some sort of veteran point guard, you could probably work with that and keep that number about the same.
I love Yusuf Nurkic, though, and what he did this season. He was healthy the entire year, which a guy that had a lot of injury problems when he was at Portland, but he came in with so much attitude. And when you talk about a guy that maybe could have been the leader on this team, the guy that was vocal, I think Nurkic probably was that guy in terms of being a vocal leader. I know Durant's not much of a vocal leader. Booker kind of towards the end started to realize that I'm the leader on this team. I need to be a vocal leader, and Beal kind of took a step back. But you look at this team, a lot of needs, and this is a team that's got to win a championship right now in these next 3 years because they have no future aside of that. But we look at the sports books, Gross, about NBA free agency. There's a lot of top NBA free agents that are coming in to free agency next year. But what do the sports books say? Because as we turn to the NBA Finals, the NBA Draft, we start to see these NBA free agency odds. And the first name I'm about to say is Klay Thompson. His odds for next season, the Warriors at -150, followed by the Magic at +300, 76ers, Thunder, and Mavericks, and Lakers all tied at +1,600. Team that would be interesting with Klay Thompson would be the Dallas Mavericks. After coming off of the NBA Finals, win or loss, him stepping in there. Or maybe he says, hey, I want to go on a younger team and be that veteran and kind of, be that shooter on the outside and go to a team like the Thunder or go to the team like the Magic. What intrigues you when you look at the Klay Thompson, and do you think he could leave Golden State?
That'd be interesting, right? Because of the run that he's had there. And, I don't know if he's a product of that team. And how does that translate moving on? And how does it translate if you go to, your thought about the Dallas Mavericks, right? I don't know. I'm not, if I'm pulling the trigger somewhere, making decisions, I don't know how high I am on adding Klay Thompson to the mix of my team. That's, no knock on him. I just look at him and say, all right, that's it. How about this? Let's take a quick break. Let's get the clock caught up. When we come back, the point guards on that list, because I think that's very germane to what we're doing. And I think importantly, I like the way you broke it down. Here's the odds of where somebody could end up, because guess what? The Suns aren't the only ones in the market for a veteran point guard. We'll do that on the other side on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Celebrate Father's Day this year at Van's Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. Introducing the TaylorMade QI10 Max Driver and Irons. Score up to $400 in gift cards when purchasing TaylorMade products. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinders provide you the most accurate distances in golf. Now $50 off. Shop with us this Father's Day in store or online. Van's Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. Get there.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AC Electrical Family at acelectricalfamily.com or call 602-577-1392. That's acelectricalfamily.com to book your free quote now. AC Electrical Family. Power up with the best.
Need an all-in-one wireless copier and printer or IT help for your business? Call Document Solutions of the Valley, the official copier and IT solutions company for Rock and Manuch with Jimmy B. Document Solutions is leading the Valley in business solutions for copier and IT service. They'll support your business no matter how big or small. Take advantage of either buying, leasing, or renting many makes and models of copiers. For a free quote, call 623-252-8282. Document Solutions of the Valley. Our service can't be copied.
Any car dealer in Arizona can compete on price. That's what dealers do. But not many dealers can compete on customer satisfaction. Like Wright Toyota. Make the right choice. Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. Just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard. And online at wrighttoyota.com.
A homeowner just like you.
Hey.
Decides to fix his roof.
Okay.
He backs up his truck, ties one end of the rope to the bumper and the other to himself.
Smart.
He's working on the backside of the roof until...
What? Wait, no.
Yes, Dad was in tow.
Ooh, was he hurt?
A few bruises and his pride.
Save yourself with State 48 Roofing, offering maintenance, repairs, and replacements. Of course, licensed, insured, and bonded. From residential to commercial. State48roofing.com.
Do you ever have a case of the Mondays? You won't if you tune in to Rockin' the Nooch with Jimmy B from 1 till 4 as they broadcast live from the CAZ Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. That's every Monday from Casino, Arizona.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino, Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino, Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
To take the points, powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona, exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Rolling along from the CAZ Sportsbook here at Casino, Arizona. Jackson Croft, Mike Gross, Bauer on assignment today. But, Jackson, we're trying to solve the Phoenix Suns point guard problem, and I think we're both in agreement that veteran somewhere is the way to go as opposed to drafting a point guard. And there's an interesting list out there. And I think the question is, how much is the owner willing to spend, and how much are some of these guys out there? It's a two-part question. How much will they help you? And how much are they going to cost you? I think is the question, right? And, you've been high on an idea of a veteran guy like a Russell Westbrook, who might be at the end, right? You look at his career, but, he's still got a little something, and maybe coming to a roster like this from the Clippers might rejuvenate him a little bit. I don't know. Your thoughts on, the veteran ad to help solve this, and some names that maybe Suns fans should keep an eye on.
Yeah, and I think that's a guy where his value last year didn't have the best season. And you remember for a couple of years ago when the Clippers faced the Suns in the playoffs, when Kawhi was out and when Paul George was kind of dealing with an injury and wasn't really a guy in that series, that was when Russell Westbrook averaged like 20 to 25 points and stepped in and was that vocal leader and could be a defender on the defensive end, but also could score and drive on the offensive end. But you're right, he's 35 and a half years old. He has not won a title yet. That's a guy to me that would come in around $4 million and say, hey, guys, I want to win a title. And that's a guy that can be the vocal leader. That's a guy that can be fired in your locker room. He does have history playing with Kevin Durant. And I think he may – I don't know if he played with Beal when he was on the Wizards. I think he did maybe a little bit. So he's got a little experience with him and Bradley Beal for the Wizards. But I think he's everything that you want. And I think he's had the potential. This is a guy that was a former NBA MVP in this league, and I think he's still got some years under him. And that would be my first pick if you want a guy that's going to come in, fiery, that can lead, and that can give you around 10 to 15 points, but more importantly, take care of the basketball and, kind of control and operate that offense.
I'm going to throw a name out there, and you may not get the analogy I'm going to make here because you're a little younger than I am. But, a guy that's out there, he's an unrestricted free agent, probably close to the vet minimum, Patrick Beverley. You look at this guy, and the comparison that I make is he's a guy that you hate if he's on the other team. But if he comes to your team, it's like, oh, he's our guy now. And I compare him to when Danny Ainge was playing back in the day. Everybody hated Danny Ainge as a player. And he was, nasty, physical. He's on our team? We love him now, right? So a guy like Patrick Beverley, who you could get for a reasonable amount, and he plays good defense. I don't know. I mean, are you good? That's dipping down low, but are you going to do that?
I just, for me personally, I don't think he's a guy that could operate an offense or a guy that could pass the ball and be able to take care of the basketball. But I mean, he's a hell of a defender. That'd be another guy I'd love to have on this team off the bench. For me personally, you're right. A guy like Cam Payne. Do they bring him back and have him in a bigger role? Do they bring a guy like Reggie Jackson, who had a couple years with the Nuggets, had some bright points in the playoffs this year, was a backup point guard? Do they bring him in? And what we saw with Reggie Jackson a couple years ago when the Clippers played the Suns, and he had a good series too, that's another name I throw out there. Spencer Dinwiddie didn't work out with the Lakers, but remember when he was on the Mavericks and the Nets, he had about 20 points or more. So I think fit means a lot, and I know what people expect. People are so... what happened last year. But you got to remember what happened the years before when they were in their prime or when they were in a certain situation when they were able to start and get a lot of minutes. Spencer Dinwiddie, Reggie Jackson didn't get a lot of minutes on their respective teams, but could get more and could produce more on this Suns team.
Well, I think that's a good point. You got to look at the body of work and understand if there was a decline, what was the reason for that? Did the chemistry or the roster around the player change that forced a reduction in minutes? Was there an injury situation, right? And if it was injury related, are you concerned about that when you bring him in? Because as we talked about before, one of the questions we had was the number of games that the big three played together. And if you're going to add a veteran point guard to the mix, you want a guy that can be there and answer the bell when you've got the rest of this team together. So that would be, like you said, put a lens over these things and make sure you're making the right decision. And then the last thing is you got to look at where they're coming from. I like the idea of Reggie Jackson, but he's sitting on a player option. And with a guy who some people feel he might be declining, the player option might be his best option in Denver to get that big paycheck or bigger paycheck than what you might get someplace else. And if you're the Suns or any other team looking at that and say, look, do you then make a trade deal, and that becomes complicated? So the ones I think you have to focus your attention on right now are the unrestricted free agents, the ones that come with no strings attached, where you can you can make a deal. But I don't think you can wait, because I think you want a guy in camp when it begins. So, again, going back to what the problem was, you can start to put that to bed for this team.
So it's going to be interesting, too, with this year being the Olympics. I think they report either, is it June, I think, or July, where all the guys report and stuff. You wonder what the communication is going to be like internal with guys like Kevin Durant and Devin Booker being on that roster. But lastly, a point guard that I know people want because of LeBron James. What are his odds for next season? What team will he land on? The odds-on favorite, no shocker here, the Lakers minus 425, Cavs plus 750, and then there's your Phoenix Suns at plus 1,000. Depending on what Bronny James does, the sportsbooks have the Suns as the third best odds to land LeBron James.
And I read an interesting take on LeBron James vis-a-vis Bronny James. You send LeBron James the message, if you're the Lakers, how you feel about him by whether or not you draft or try to draft his son. If you completely pass on him, he's on the board in the second round, LeBron James gets the message, right? We'll see. Our number one in the books. More to come on the other right here on Fox Sports 910.
Take the Points has been sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing.
Investing in a high-quality misting system from Fogco will be the coolest decision you ever make for your home patio, pool area, or commercial property. Fogco, the Valley's original manufacturer of high-pressure fog systems, is one of the pioneers in the misting industry for over 35 years. Let Fogco transform your outdoor living and entertainment areas into a cool and soothing tropical showcase. If you're looking for quality, reliability, and value, get a free quote at fogco.com. That's FOGCO.com.
Looking for a change in your career? All City Towing is searching for motivated teammates to join their team. Current openings now available in customer service, tow truck operators, yard management, facilities maintenance, and dispatch. Apply online at allcitytowing.com/careers or call 480-833-7278.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
It's not just about what we put into the wash. It's also about what comes out. We can learn a lot about our kids and who they really are. Tide and Downey, proud supporters of iHeartRadio and P&G's Can't Cancel Pride, stand as allies within the LGBTQ+ community and believe in everyone's right to embrace their true selves. Learn more at can'tcancelpride.com. And happy Pride Month from Tide and Downey.
Is getting gas at Chevron burning a hole in your wallet? Get the Drop app. With Drop, you can earn free gift cards just by filling up your tank. Download Drop now. Use code DROP77 to instantly receive $5 in points.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Fox Sports 910, KGME Phoenix, KESC HD3 Phoenix. The Herd with Colin Cowherd, Monday from 10 to 1.
From the floor, 2 of 9 from long range in the victory by 1 point. Major League Baseball, it's going to be a busy day of action on the diamond, and it gets started here in about less than 10 minutes. The first game of the day with the Blue Jays taking on the Pirates. And speaking of the Blue Jays, they have moved closer Jordan Romano to the 15-day IL because of right elbow inflammation. San Diego Padres are going to lose a couple of their key guys on the bump because of injuries as well. Yu Darvish, left groin strain, and Joe Musgrove, right elbow inflammation. Both of them are going to be put on the 15-day IL. Third round of the RBC Canadian Open, Ryan Fox and Robert McIntyre co-shared the lead at -10. I'm Brian Fenley.
This is the Parker & Sons Weather Center. For all your AC, plumbing, and electric needs, call Parker.
A warm finish to your Saturday. We'll wrap up the day at about 104 degrees. Overnight, clear skies and 76. And your Sunday, just like your Saturday, sunny and 104. For the Fox 10 weather experts, I'm Corey McCloskey.
Report is sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, save big every day when you buy in bulk. Save 10% when you buy 68 or more OSB sheathing. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details.
Take the Points is sponsored by On Air Sports Marketing. Time for Arizona's only local sports gambling radio show. Take the Points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Your home for uncensored sports betting opinions, analysis, and advice. The guys have you covered for all the games. Now, take the Points on Fox Sports 910 and the iHeartRadio app.
Hour number 2, Jackson Croft, Mike Groves coming to you from the CAZ Sportsbook at Casino, Arizona, Loop 101 in McKellips. 1 hour in the books, still another hour to go. We enjoyed breakfast already, thanks to Lucy and the team here. Every Saturday, take good care of us, Jackson. Come on out and see us. Great food menu, drink specials, and a great team to take care of you. And we're not even talking about the Sportsbook, right? We got Jack and Casey in the house today. It's a all-star cast at the Sportsbook today. And if you don't want to go to see them, they've got the self-service kiosk inside and outside of the Sportsbook. We'll talk with Casey in our final segment of the show, find out what's going on here, find out how they're weathering the dog days of summer as we get ready to look forward to college and professional football. And I want to look at the NFL. And it's getting to that point, right? The draft is done. Free agency is more or less wound down, and the schedules are out. So we already knew who was playing who, but now we know when teams are playing. And our good friend Jimmy Shapiro sent out a cool email this week that I thought we'd get into when you talk about lines in the NFL. He's got an email where I've got the spread for every regular season game. So if you want to know one, just ask me. But he also broke down some trends, which are pretty cool. Jackson, there is one team this year in the early lines that is favored in every game this year.
Wow.
One team. Who do you think that is?
I'm going to say, the two-time defending champ, Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City Chiefs are favored in they are favored in 15 of their 17.
Wow.
Right now.
Not even them. I'm going to go Ravens. No, not Ravens, because they're the underdogs with the Chiefs. Favored in every game. How about Brock Purdy? How about the 49ers?
It is Brock Purdy, and the 49ers are favored in every game they play right now, which I think is fascinating. And I think when you look down the list, and we'll get into some other interesting news and notes around these lines throughout the course of the season, I think it shows you play 6 games, in this case in the NFC West, how heads and shoulders, at least as far as the odds makers are concerned, the 49ers are. So you start there. And then you move on. But they are favored in every game they play. All right, you already mentioned the Niners. There are a handful of teams that are favored in 14 or 15 games. You mentioned the Chiefs and the Ravens, Jackson. The Chiefs are favored in 15 of their games this year. The Ravens are 14, and then 3 other teams in 14 as well. And I got a couple of these are kind of surprising to me. The Cincinnati Bengals are favored in 14 of their games. The Dallas Cowboys are favored in 14 of their games, and Cowboys fans, this does not include postseason action. And this
I see what you did there. A little shot at the Cowboys fans.
This one, the Jets. So you've got the Bengals, the Cowboys, and the Jets, Jackson, are favored in 14 of their 17 games this year.
I think the thing that sticks out with 2 of the 3, being the Bengals and the Jets, is can their quarterback stay healthy? Let's be honest, Joe Burrow's had a lot of injury prone. He's a great quarterback, top 5 quarterback. So is Aaron Rodgers, but can they stay healthy throughout the season? And you wonder with the Jets, and I believe the Jets have a tough schedule this year too. I mean, I know they got to play the 49ers week 1. They got to go out and play the Cardinals for 1 week, and I think they got most of the NFC West teams. But, man, the Bengals too, and then the Cowboys. Sportsbooks maybe just doing that to try to win some money, I guess, on the other side, because, I mean, I guess not win some money, but I feel like for
attract
fans, attract some bets. But for the NFL fans out there, if the Cowboys are favored against, let's say, the Bills, or I don't know what their schedule is, and the Bills are an underdog, or maybe a team that's maybe more talented than the Cowboys are an underdog, you're going to win some money if you think that the Cowboys are going to lose those type of games, especially on the road. And I know the Cowboys don't play well at San Fran and some other games too, but that's real interesting.
The Carolina Panthers, Jacksons, are underdogs in every game but one, and they're a pick'em in their home game against the Saints. And this is the crown that the Arizona Cardinals wore a year ago when the lines came out. The Cardinals were underdogs in 17 games, right? That's the Panthers this year. They're underdogs in 16s and pick them in that game against the Saints.
And that's what you wonder with Bryce Young in year 2. He's got a new coach, and the most jacked, ripped coach I think I've ever seen in Dave Canales over there with the Carolina Panthers. They win the offseason. They got more weapons for him, Xavier Legette, and maybe some defenders on the defensive side there. But you wonder what Bryce Young in year 2, and we live in a league where everyone's, if you're not good your first year, you're not good your second year, you're going to dip out soon. Look at that class with Trevor Lawrence and where all those quarterbacks that were drafted after him were. Or look at the year after with the guys like Sam Howell, the Kenny Pickett's, all on different teams. So for this year for Bryce Young, I think he's a hell of a talent. Obviously, he's a Heisman Trophy. But this is a big year for him if he kind of wants to, keep Panthers fans on board with what they're doing there in Carolina.
Yeah, definitely needs an opportunity to redeem himself. All right, moving on in this list that we have from Jimmy Shapiro, these teams are underdogs the most after the Panthers. We just said the Panthers are underdogs in all but one. You've got New England and Tennessee are underdogs in 16 of their 17 games.
New England and Tennessee. Yeah. Wow. Tennessee shocks me because I thought they had a really good offseason. Will Levis, obviously at quarterback, but they got guys like Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd. New head coach there with Bryce Callahan, and they've got some good defenders too. They also got L'Jarius Sneed, that cornerback from the Kansas City Chiefs, and I think they're a team that might shock some people. I would take them to kind of surprise some people this year. I like the Tennessee Titans.
All right, I'm going to give you the next. There's these next handful of teams. There's 5 of them, and there's I think a common thread between each of the 5. They're underdogs in either 15 or 14 of their games right now. The 5 teams are the Broncos, the Raiders, the Vikings, the Giants, and the Commanders. What's the common theme there?
New quarterbacks or maybe unstable quarterbacks. Yeah. And Daniel Jones, and you don't know what you're going to see. I think Gardner Minshew's a good fit with the Raiders, but you never know when his talent, he's not a tier 1 kind of quarterback. He's kind of more of a tier 3, tier 4, but you're right. All the rookie quarterbacks there. Out of those 4 teams, or 4 or 5 teams, which one do you think is going to shock more people, and how many of those underdogs that they might win some of those games that they're underdogs?
I don't know. I have a hard time with the Raiders being underdog that many times. A team that I'm fascinated by on this list, and I would love to, how we have the hard knocks. I would just love to have like a drone, a small drone camera hanging around the Broncos facility, because there is so much pressure, not on the quarterback, but on the head coach. Sean Payton came in, he was going to change the world, and it's been an abject failure. Any way you measure it, his tenure with the Broncos, right? And they're underdogs in 15 games. They didn't move up, so they had to wait and take the quarterback that fell, and it ended up being Bo Nix. Obviously, there's pressure on a rookie quarterback anyway, but you got Bo Nix and Sean Payton. I would just love to be able to just hang around and watch those interactions, watch those development, watch the feedback. You'll see it when it happens in game, right? But just post game, what's the interaction like between head coach and quarterback? Because the new owners of the Broncos, man, they are. We talk about what Matt Ishby has done since he came here. Man, can you imagine a city that is so passionate about their team and used to this team winning, right? Maybe not winning Super Bowls all the time, but being a good competitive team. And they've been anything but here in the recent past. So much pressure on this Broncos team. I'd just be fascinated to watch it.
Their win total 5.5 as of right now. 5.5 over is -150, and their unders plus money. So the sports book's kind of leaning towards them to get around 5-6 wins, and they have the least odds, or I guess the highest odds in the AFC West at plus 2,000.
Now, the other interesting thing that as we wrap up this list, Jackson, is that Week 1 in the NFL has the most home teams favored at 15. There's only one home team that's an underdog Week 1, and that's the Colts at home. They open up against the Texans, which isn't surprising. And then Week 6 is the only week where more road teams, 8, are favored than home teams, 6. And I'm not going to go through all those games. So it goes to show you, as you think about strategies and what you know intuitively about the NFL, always, what's the old saying? You get 3 points for being at home, right? So that's where you're starting with some of these games. Looking at that as you try to strategize how you're going to handle these. I don't know at what point wagering on either win totals or, heaven forbid, anything past Week 1 in the NFL is not a good idea, right? Because at some point, if you're going to do the win totals, you want to wait until you get some training camp under your belt, see what happens. Hopefully your team doesn't have any freak injuries or something like that. But to have lines just randomly out there, like, hey, Week 13, Giants are 8-point underdogs at the Cowboys. Like, just randomly, you got all of that at your disposal right now. And, the good thing if you're wagering, which is what we talk about on the show an awful lot and what our good friends here at the CAZ Sportsbook help you with, that's great. You got so much information to make your decision. Sometimes you might have information overload. There's a lot. What do you play preseason win totals? Are you one to put down, like, I like this team to win X number of games, or do you like the wagers where you can pick hey, I think this team will win the NFC South or the AFC West?
I kind of like the division props or the division lines more because you can parlay them with other ones. So let's say if you're confident right now looking at it, Bills are plus 160, Dolphins plus 185. I could go Dolphins plus 185 and pair that up with the Texans and have a parlay there and put some more dollars on it. But for win totals, they're minus 150, minus 180. You've got those kind of lower odds where if you do want to see some profit out of it, you're going to have to put more money. You can't really parlay win totals in certain sports books there. So I'm not a big fan of the win totals. And to your point, there's so many moving pieces. And right now would be your best time to bet on these win totals if you feel confident about a team. But what happens in the training camp or preseason if someone's starting quarterback goes down and then you're like, man, I'm screwed.
100%.
Same with the Week 1 or Week 6 or Week 8 bets out there that you maybe say, for Week 1 right now, Titans in the Bears. Titans are a 4.5-point underdog at the Bears. You might think of it and say, hey, I like the Titans in this one. I'm going to go 4.5. But what if something happens from now and the regular season? So it's tough. You do have to that's why it's sports gambling. You do have to gamble and kind of, risk what you think might happen. But that's why you do this. That's why we play the game in sports betting wagering. You have some moments where you're early on the case, you're early on the call, and maybe the 4.5 turns out to be 1.5 when it's off kickoff or whatever. So
the only other thing that I would add to the conversation about win totals or division winners or anything where you're wagering for something to happen well into the future is that you're going to let the sports book or casino, wherever you wager, hold on to your money for a while, right? So you better be really confident that's going to happen and make sure you don't need that money at some point.
And most of them you can't even cash out, too.
Most of them you can't
and
cash
some
out.
of them, if you can cash out, let's say you put a $25 bet on the Ravens to beat the Chiefs round 1, that cash out's going to be around $15 so you're losing $10 if you do want to cash that out.
100%.
You might as well just keep it in.
You got to mention, though, because that's tying up money for. I get it, and you see those tickets where a guy, hey, in August he bet $100,000 on the 49ers to win the Super Bowl. He probably has that $100,000 to play around with. Most of us don't, right? So just keep that in mind as you're looking at these things. How long do you want to let the sports book that you're working with hang on to your money with those types of wagers? Because like you just said, Week 1, you're rolling the dice a little bit because those lines are going to change. But at least it's, hey, I'll bet on a Saturday and the game is played on Sunday. You cash your ticket that day if you called it correctly. We'll step aside here on the other side. We're going to look at some college football stuff. It's, again, it's the dog days of summer, folks. Football coming back in August, but we'll take a little peek at that next on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Investing in a high-quality misting system from Fogco will be the coolest decision you ever make for your home patio, pool area, or commercial property. Fogco, the Valley's original manufacturer of high-pressure fog systems, is one of the pioneers in the misting industry for over 35 years. Let Fogco transform your outdoor living and entertainment areas into a cool and soothing tropical showcase. If you're looking for quality, reliability, and value, get a free quote at fogco.com. That's FOGCO.com.
Come celebrate Father's Day this year at Van's Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. Unlock your ultimate wedge play with Vokey SM10 wedges, made for lower flight, improved feel, and maximum spin. And from Bushnell, the new Tour B6 Series laser rangefinders provide you the most accurate distances in golf. Now $50 off. Shop with us for Father's Day, in store or online. Van's Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. Get there.
Life's a sprint. Need G2G protein bars. Grab and go fuel for the office, links, and daily grind. Score an 8-pack at Costco or explore flavors at G2GBar.com. Quick, delicious, power-packed G2G protein bars. Setting your pace.
Hi, I'm attorney Kevin Rowe. Recently, Lerner Rowe was named the second most influential law firm in the United States. Although we have offices in other parts of the country, Glenn and I both live here and raise our families here. We are your local law firm. No other law firm in the state comes close to the experience, reputation, and results as Lerner & Rowe. When you're hurt in a wreck and need a check, call the law firm that can get you the results you need. Call Lerner & Rowe.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part, we don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at Venezias.com. That's Venezias.com. Venezias, a family and catering tradition.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AC Electrical Family at acelectricalfamily.com or call 602-577-1392. That's acelectricalfamily.com to book your free quote now. AC Electrical Family. Power up with the best.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Jenny!
Hey, Jenny!
Jenny, come on in! Steve!
Hey, Steve!
Steve, how you doing?
Meg!
Meg, nice to see you. Meg!
Arena Sports Grill. Come on out for the sports, off-track betting, incredible food, and friendly faces. The best daily specials in Scottsdale. Arena Sports Grill, 62nd Street in Bell. We know you.
Last season, millions tuned into the Betrayal podcast to hear a shocking story of deception. I'm Andrea Gunning, and now we're sharing an all-new story of betrayal. Justin Rutherford. Doctor, father, family man. It was the perfect cover to hide behind.
I was just like, what in the world is going on?
Listen to Betrayal on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Betrayal and start listening.
I'm Joel Edelman from Games with Names, and we're on the search to find the greatest games of all time with the players and coaches who lived in them. Ever wonder what a locker room feels like at a halftime of a Super Bowl? Or what about the after parties? We're going to dive deep into the most iconic games with the most iconic people. New episodes dropping weekly. Listen to Games with Names on the iHeart Radio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Back to Take the Points. Cooper Cup Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona.
Future Hall of Famer.
Sports 910.
We're live.
Rolling along on a Saturday. Don't forget, final segment, we'll welcome Casey in from the CAZ Sportsbook. Catch up with him. Haven't seen him in a couple of weeks, so it's good to have him back in the house here. Jackson, we talked to NFL in our last segment, and win totals in college football are out there as well. And, we'll start it off with kind of the same argument that we had before. Be careful, right? You're sitting here the 1st of June talking about win totals. How long do you want to tie your money up with the sports app of your choice? But still interesting to see some of the college football win totals that are out there. And you had one particular school that you've been on for a while that you're keeping an eye on.
Yeah, I think the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You look at this team and what they did in the transfer portal, getting a guy like Riley Leonard, stud quarterback out of Duke, but you've also got 2 really talented wide receivers and also some returning guys coming back on the defensive side of the ball. But you open up with where college game is going to be at Texas A&M, and right now it's a pick 'em. Notre Dame's a 1.5-point underdog, but minus 104 money line. But you look at their schedule, the win total right now being 10.5, and 10.5 is very high, especially with them playing 12 games this season. But looking at their schedule, they've got that Texas A&M game week 1. You play teams like Northern Illinois, Purdue, Miami, Ohio. Those are all sleepers. Then you've got Louisville, which a Louisville team this year you don't know what to expect with, Hamilton's very own Tyler Shuck, who's going to be their starting quarterback there. But other than that, Florida State at home, and then at USC to the end of the year. So you've got really 2 games if you're going to go over 10.5, and maybe they win Texas A&M and lose against Florida State. You still feel confident in that 11-1 to be able to get that win total over there. But I'm a fan of what Notre Dame's got on their schedule and what they got on their roster, and I kind of tend to favor Notre Dame as a team that could shock some people and make a run for the CFP. If they can get 11 wins, I think they're pretty much a lock to make it.
I think that's a very favorable schedule for the Fighting Irish. I think you're spot on.
But there. I think also, though, they've got to beat either Florida State. They got to win against Florida State to kind of boost the resume up. Because if they lose against Florida State and maybe lose against Texas A&M and they are around 10-2, it's going to be tough for the committee to appreciate them with their biggest win being against Louisville if they were to lose those games.
A couple of teams that I'm looking at, and it has to do with this conference realignment that we talked about, and how that's going to transition. For the most part, when you look at the big name schools that are moving around, USC, UCLA, for example, even Washington with all the changes they've gone through into the Big Ten for those 3 schools, single-digit totals in the 7.5, 8.5 range for those 3 schools. The one team that is not in that category is the Oregon Ducks. Oregon Ducks are at 10.5 wins, similar to what you just said for Notre Dame, and the way their schedule lines up is extremely favorable. You look at who they play. They've got Idaho, Boise State, Oregon State, and UCLA as their non-conference games. And, those games, I think, are all winnable. Then they jump into the Big Ten, and they get Ohio State in Eugene. So Ohio State's got to make the trip. Toughest game on the schedule, I think, for them is their trip to Ann Arbor the first Saturday of November. And, this is a Michigan team in transition, a new starting quarterback, a new head coach, still lots of talent on that roster. But, I think a very favorable schedule for the Oregon Ducks. And at the same time, you flip over to a team that's leaving the Big 12 and going to the SEC. 10.5 is the number for the Texas Longhorns. Oklahoma, a little bit more impacted by this move. Oklahoma's at 7.5. Texas, 10.5 is their total. I think, again, a very favorable non-conference schedule, which you kind of bake into this, particularly when you look at what they're going to face in the SEC. Their non-conference games, they're home against Colorado State. They make a trip, like the Ducks do, to Ann Arbor, Michigan, the second Saturday, of September. And then they've got home games against UT San Antonio and Louisiana Monroe. Then after that, you look at Georgia. You've got that game at home. You've got Florida at home. You've got Kentucky at home. Their road games, and bless the conference realignment, they bring back one of the good rivalries in college football. You've got to go to College Station to play A&M. But, your road games at Arkansas, at Vanderbilt, this is a favorable schedule for the Texas Longhorns.
I like that. I think that the Oklahoma and having that next week be Georgia is going to be a grueling week for the Texas Longhorns there. But you got Quinn Ewers, like you said. Now in college football, we look at those returning quarterbacks and those guys that are solidified. I like those two. I think Oregon's a team that I'm high on as well. I like that you picked that one too in the Big Ten. My only worry with Ohio State, I know Ohio State's favored to win the Big Ten, is their quarterback situation with Will Howard. We saw him what he did a couple years ago, leading Kansas State in the Big 12 championship and having that year. But last year kind of had a down year. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ohio State with their quarterback situation, if they can do well, because on paper they look phenomenal. That's why I think Oregon has the slight edge over them there.
I think it's going to be a fascinating year in Columbus, really, because you look at Ryan Day, and it shows the pressure that these big-time college football coaches are under, because when you say he had a bad year, look at the record. If you just take the record, it's not a bad year. Ohio State faithful weren't happy. They were actual people out there that were pushing for this guy to get fired after he lost to Michigan. Like, you can't beat Michigan. And look, I'm a Michigan fan, so I've been on the receiving end of you can't beat Ohio State, and I understand that. But so I think there's just an inordinate amount of pressure on Ryan Day and his staff this year, and it's kind of similar to what we said about the Broncos and their situation. Again, with an unproven commodity at quarterback here in Ohio State. I think you're exactly right. So it's for Ohio State, you've got that added pressure of everybody expects you to win the Big Ten, and you've kind of dropped the ball the last couple of years in the mind of the Ohio State faithful. Can you imagine if you're Ryan Day and you go out to dinner in Columbus, Ohio? Like, it's crazy the pressure that these guys are under. A lot of pressure on the Buckeyes, a lot of pressure on Ryan Day.
I think another team that I like for an over, let's go to the SEC. I think Ole Miss, over-under right now, win total is at 9.5. You look at their schedule right now, a doozy of a schedule all the way until October 12th. I think at South Carolina, October 5th might be interesting. They've got a new quarterback in Lenoris Morris there, but on October 12th at LSU, I think a game that they could win. I know LSU, they lost a ton of talent last year. Your two best wide receivers, you lost Jaden Daniels. I'm not a big fan of Garrett Nussmeier, has not really proven there, and they've got a proven quarterback at Ole Miss. I think they win that game. You got home against Oklahoma, at Arkansas, and then home against Georgia, probably that one game that I could see Ole Miss losing and being 11-1, but still, you're 11-1. You still favor that window of 9.5 there, where if they do lose two games and go 10-2, lose Georgia, maybe they lose at Florida in November, I think it favors that over there. And then for the other side of it being LSU, I like their under here too. LSU, another team at 9.5. I just think them unproven at quarterback, and what their defense did last year was really disappointing. And I think if their defense continues to be disappointing and you put a lot of pressure on a first-year quarterback starting for the first time ever, LSU could be a team that goes under there. Who do you like as terms of over or under another win total?
I just look at talk about this pressure factor as we look at things right now. A team that I think a tremendous amount of pressure is on again this year is the Iowa Hawkeyes. You talk about just an extraordinarily inefficient offensive team the last number of years. They blow out the coach's son, who was the offensive coordinator, and they're got a better quarterback situation. But this is still a team that is great defense, great special teams, just so limited offensively. They don't play a tough schedule ever, but they then get it mixed into this whole addition of the Pac-12 teams. Their non-conference games are Illinois State, Iowa State, and Troy. Stop me if you heard that before. Iowa will not play anybody outside of these types of schools. Can
we bet on the unders already for all three of those games?
Power 5 schools, they don't do it. But they get a game against Washington as the only, and UCLA, as the only teams out of the Pac-12. Washington is in Iowa City. Iowa travels to Los Angeles to play the Bruins towards the end of the season. Even with all of that, 7.5 doesn't feel like something that I want to touch with this Iowa Hawkeyes team until I see what they're capable of offensively, and they're going to have to really convince me. The other thing that Iowa doesn't have that they always had in years past was the Big Ten scrapped the divisional alignment. They could always just be the best team in the West and say, well, we played the Big Ten championship game. That's out for the Hawkeyes. You got to be in top 2 now.
SEC is also doing that too, which is fascinating.
All right, we're going to step aside here, and on the other side, Jackson, we get back into the NBA. And conference finals are in the book. Championship coming up, not till Thursday, though, so you got some time to digest all of this. It's coming up next on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAC Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Jenny!
Hey, Jenny!
Jenny, come on in! Steve!
Hey, Steve!
Steve, how you doing?
Meg!
Meg, nice to see you! Meg!
Arena Sports Grill. Come on out for the sports, off-track betting, incredible food, and friendly faces. The best daily specials in Scottsdale. Arena Sports Grill, 62nd Street in Bell. We know you.
If you haven't tried G2G protein bars, today is the day. Find them in your local Costco's refrigerated section or online at g2gbar.com. Incredible taste and packed with protein. They are perfect for your on-the-go lifestyle. Check them out today.
Hey, it's Dom with Venezia's Pizzeria. You know us for delicious family dinners and huge party pizzas. But did you know we are great at feeding a large group too? Our full catering menu has a ton of variety, so everyone will find something they love. And the best part? We don't charge per head. Just tell us how many people you need to feed, and we'll handle the rest. Check out our catering menu at venezias.com. That's venezias.com. Venezias, a family and catering tradition.
What's up, guys? Jason Payne, owner of State 48 Roofing. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, #SexyRoofStatus. At State 48 Roofing, we are family owned and operated, born and raised in Arizona. We'd love to give back to our schools and community. Contact us at state48roofing.com.
Arizona's headquarters for Toyotas is Wright Toyota. Hey, rock for my friends at Wright Toyota in Scottsdale. You will always find the right deal at Wright Toyota. Wright Toyota has been driving Arizona's home for years with their amazing service, pricing, and great selections. I encourage you to discover the difference at Wright Toyota. Make the right choice, Wright Toyota, just off the 101 on Frank Lloyd Wright Boulevard, and always online at wrighttoyota.com. The right price, the right selection. Check out wrighttoyota.com.
Do you ever have a case of the Mondays? You won't if you tune in to Rockin' the Nooch with Jimmy B from 1 till 4 as they broadcast live from the CAZ Sportsbook at the CAZ Sports Bar. That's every Monday from Casino, Arizona.
Hey, sports fans, celebrate every big game with El Bandito Yankee, an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave in the highlands of Jalisco. Their certified additive-free Blanco and Reposado feature a unique oxygenation process for a rich smoothness without that tequila burn. That's why they've won platinum and gold medals and are now listed as one of the world's top tequilas by Rolling Stone. Head over to your local store, favorite bar, or restaurant and enjoy. Go to elbanditoyankee.com and break out the Bandito with the official tequila of game day.
Hey, this is Kelly Cooper. Are you ready for the ultimate sports experience? Look no further than BKD's Backyard Joint. At BKD's, we're the destination for the best food, drinks, and sports experience in the Valley. Located at the corner of Pecos and McQueen and Chandler, BKD's Backyard Joint, where every day is game day.
Celebrate Father's Day this year at Van's Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. Introducing the Ping G430 Max 10K driver. Straighter flies farther with Ping's straightest driver yet. And from Bushnell, the new Tour V6 Series laser rangefinder provides you the most accurate distances in golf. Now $50 off. Shop with us this Father's Day in store or online. Van's Golf Shops by Worldwide Golf. Get there.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Right now you're thinking, Comparion, never heard of them. We know. We also know that you have no idea that Comparion Insurance agents are local and provide expert advice. So to help it stick, we're going to say local agent 4 times in the next 15 seconds. Ready? Go. Our local agents know you and your community. Our local agents offer insurance from top carriers. Our local agents have minty fresh breath.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com. Comparion Insurance Agency. Local agents. Expert advice.
And there's number 4.
It's not just about what we put into the wash. It's also about what comes out. We can learn a lot about our kids and who they really are. Tide and Downey, proud supporters of iHeartRadio and P&G's Can't Cancel Pride, stand as allies within the LGBTQ+ community and believe in everyone's right to embrace their true selves. Learn more at can'tcancelpride.com. And happy Pride Month from Tide and Downey.
And take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona. Exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Coming up in our next segment, Casey from the Sportsbook here at Casino, Arizona will join us. I don't know if we're going to do any picks, but heck, we haven't talked to Casey in a while. Get his thoughts on the NBA Finals, find out how they're spending the dog days of summer here at the Sportsbook. That's coming up in our next segment. But Jackson, we talked about it before the break. Coming up Thursday, Game 1, NBA Finals. You got the Dallas Mavericks at the Boston Celtics. The Mavericks are 6.5-point underdogs on Thursday night, and the point total sits right now at 214.5, according to the sheet that I picked up here from the Sportsbook.
I think it's going to be a phenomenal series. The first game being at the Celtics. The 6.5 is kind of shocking, seeing what the Mavericks have done, but it being at Boston, and maybe the sportsbooks think that Kyrie Irving coming back with all those mass holes and them screaming at him, maybe has a factor with his performance. You look at some of the player props and player points right now. Luka Doncic, his over-under total for points at 30.5, and Kyrie Irving's 23.5. The Boston side of things, Jason Tatum's 27.5, and Jaylen Brown is at 23.5. Something interesting, though, too, Kristaps Porzingis' odds are out right now, over-under 15.5. So the sportsbooks believe that Kristaps Porzingis will be available for Game 1.
Interesting. When you look at what you can wager on, most places, and obviously if you're doing it on an app of your choice, you got a few more options than if you're at a sports book, but there's still so many different wagers that are available, whether you're talking parlays or just straight bets. One of the things that I'm always interested in is the alternate spreads. And we just said that you've got the Mavericks as 6.5-point underdogs, and that's minus 110. So the flip side is the Celtics minus 6.5 at minus 110. But you go down and the numbers I'm looking at, you can bet that number up or down depending on what you think is going to happen. If you're like, man, you know what? Even with the time off, Dallas had to battle a little bit more. Boston's had all this time out. You can create, if you're willing to pay for it, a different line, right? If you like that and you think something's going to happen. So if you think 6.5 isn't right, if you want to bump that up, so 6.5, remember, is minus 110. You can get yourself into plus money just by going up to 7.5. Right? So you can play around with the line on a lot of these apps and create a little bit more interesting wager for yourself if you'd like.
What would be, if you were a betting man right now, if you were to do an alternate line, what line would you do?
Exactly that.
This game?
I think I would, I don't know how far I would go up, but I would bet it up a little bit because I think
the Celtics are
Game 1 at home with the rest. And look, we talked about it at the beginning, so we don't have to go through it all in detail, but the road to the finals was a little bit tougher for the Mavericks than it was for the Celtics. So for any number of reasons, I would be really comfortable getting myself into plus money. How about you?
I'm going to look at your screen because I cannot find the alternate one. For me personally, I think I'm going to go, plus 1.5. Actually,
It's fascinating.
it is fascinating. I would probably lean towards, I think the Mavericks are going to cover the 6.5. So I think it's going to be them winning the game. So I maybe might go Dallas Mavericks minus 1.5 or Dallas Mavericks maybe 0.5 leaning towards them.
So you can get Dallas minus 1.5 at plus 220.
Get plus 220 from that. I think the Mavericks are going to win the first game. I think Luka Doncic is going to come out hot. I think Kyrie Irving is going to be fired up to go back into Boston. And I agree the road that they had in the playoffs has been rougher and longer, more grueling games than what Boston has. But I think with Kyrie being there before and Luka and his mindset there, I think they're in great enough shape. We haven't seen this team ever get tired in the playoffs. That's one thing I've noticed with them versus the Timberwolves down the stretch. Their superstars tend to have more energy in that fourth quarter and closing time there. I like the Mavericks. I think they cover the 6.5. And if I was a betting man, I think they win the game. So I would lean towards, because their money line right now is plus 210. So if I think personally that I think they're going to win by, let's say 2 or win by 3 and get better odds for it. What right now, if you look at the Mavericks, let's say Mavericks minus 1.5 or Mavericks minus 2.5, what are the odds for those two real quick?
Real quickly, if we look at that, sorry, I went away from that for just a moment, but the Mavericks, Jackson.
Good radio.
Yeah, my bad. I'm not getting it. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Oh, it's probably, if I was to guess, it would probably be around more than it would be the money line at plus 210. You're probably getting around plus 300 or maybe plus 250 or plus 350 if you do think the Mavericks are going to win that outright too. I also think something interesting too to bet on is the first half spreads. If you think a team that's going to go out hot like the Boston Celtics shooting wise, which actually in the time they've been in the playoffs, they have had kind of a slow start, especially in the first quarter. And the Mavericks, on the other hand, have had a great start in the first quarter of the first half. you could lean towards either a race to 15 points with the Mavericks, or maybe you could go first quarter spread or first half spread in favor of the Mavericks too. If you don't think that the Mavericks are going to sustain for the entire 4 quarters, you could also go that route in the first half type of spread.
And watching professional sports in general and NBA finals, there's always guys. I mean, stars are stars. There's no question about that. But when you look at individual games, you get player contributions from guys maybe that you don't expect. And this is a point you made earlier. When you look at the Mavericks and you look at the player point totals that are available for the opening game, Luka and Kyrie at 30.5 and 23.5 respectively. And then over on the Boston side, you've got Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kristaps Porzingis, 27.5, 23.5, 15.5 respectively. After that, though, like, who are the role players? Who's going to step up? Who do you think might go above? And you look at, what your options are for the Dallas Mavericks. PJ Washington, that number set at 11.5. Does he go over that? And particularly, we talk about it all the time with Marco reminds us of the term complimentary bet. If you feel like the Mavericks are going to win that game, it likely will come down to somebody other than or in addition to Luka and Kyrie doing the damage, right? So is it PJ Washington at 11.5, Daniel Gafford at 8.5, Derek Jones Jr. at 8.5? Or the flip side, if it's Boston, what do you think Derek White's going to do? His number right now is at 14.5. Does he come up and does he do something? So you look at those other players, like you said, the role players, not necessarily the stars. Are they able to do something to make some damage? And as a bettor, can you take advantage of that?
I like, for role players, if I'm going to bet on a role player, I like what sportsbooks do with player combos. So you have players points plus assists, or players points plus rebounds, or even players plus rebounds and assists. You got a guy that I've had a friend that's been putting bets on is Gafford and Lively in this series, plus points plus rebounds. The last couple of games, they've been around 13.5, and they've absolutely hammered it. Because I like it, because if I'm a sports bettor and I got money on Gafford to either get rebounds or points, if he gets a rebound put-back layup, that counts as 3. So you kind of, instead of only relying on points, you can get other points, I guess, in other aspects and rebounds or assists. Does that make sense? So player combos are definitely another thing if you're interested in betting on this series to look out for. When you're assembling, I like parlays. Gross doesn't like parlays, but if you're a parlay king like myself, put that in your parlay.
I don't not like parlays. There's just some parlays that you go, I'm like, whoa, that's a little bit much.
Well, what's your sweet spot? What's your sweet spot for legs? Because for me personally, I like 4 or more, depending if I want to put a little less cash on it. But around 2 or 3 is probably the safe spot if you want to put some money on.
Right, and that's what we talk about NHL player parlays, right? And the points parlays that I talk about when we do our locks of the week. It's usually a 2, maybe a 3-player parlay, right? And that would be probably the extent of it, and that sounds something like, I don't have the number in front of me, but Jason Robertson, Connor McDavid, plus, point apiece, and whatever that would turn into. That's a relatively safe 2-leg parlay when you're talking about player parlays in the NHL. And just what you talked about with the NBA, instead of points in the NHL, you pick rebounds or points and put it together that way.
So when we wrap up the NBA Finals talk, who is your X factor for the Celtics? Who's your X factor for the Mavericks that has to perform at their best for their team to win?
I think for the Mavericks, it's definitely Kyrie. And we all know the knock on Kyrie. It's pretty well documented, so we don't need to recycle that here. But how does he react going back to Boston? Bottom line, right? If he can keep it together and do what he did in that particularly the latter part of that last series, I think they're golden. I really do. And I think your idea that they could go in and win the first game is spot on. And then for the Celtics, you look at it and how do they shoot the ball, right? And you had this last week where you went the under on Jason Tatum in threes, and he blew past that. You said he's under 2.5, and I think in that clinching game he hit 5.5, right? So if he can continue to shoot the ball like that, it's going to be tough for the Mavericks.
Yeah, you look at his last couple of games, he was 3-11 in game 4 against the Pacers, 5-10, but outside of that, he's not hit from 3. He was 1-7 in game 2, 2-8 from the field there from three-point land from Mr. Jason Tatum. I agree with you. I think Kyrie Irving's the X factor there. If I had to see a secondary X factor, I believe in what he's been doing 14-14 that first round. If he ends up getting paired up with Kristaps Porzingis, a longer guy, been in the league for a long time, how does he favor against that? And for the Celtics, I think it's Drew Holiday. You mentioned Kyrie Irving and what he's going to do there. He's going to have a tough time against Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday is a great defender, all-star experience, NBA title experience with the Milwaukee Bucks. What will he do pairing up wise against them? And if Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown are struggling, what can guys like Derek White and Drew Holiday do on the offensive end? Right now, Derek White 14.5 over under 4 points, and Drew Holiday 13.5 there too. I think this series is going to be fascinating, and how these teams match up against each other too on both ends. Both teams are going to have to play offense, but both teams are going to have to play defense if they don't want the other team's superstars to solidify and close late in those games.
He's Jackson Groff. I'm Mike Gross. We step aside here. We'll wrap up today's show. That's coming up on Fox Sports 910.
Take the points. Powered by the Sportsbook at CAZ Sports Bar in Casino, Arizona continues next on Fox Sports 910 and the free iHeartRadio app.
Hey, this is Kelly Cooper. Are you ready for the ultimate sports experience? Look no further than BKD's Backyard Joint. At BKD's, we're not just a sports bar. We're the destination for the best food, drinks, and sports experience in the Valley. Located at the corner of Pecos and McQueen and Chan. Get ready to score big on fun and flavor. Only at BKD's Backyard Joint, where every day is game day. Check us out online at bkdsbackyard.com. That's BKD.
Hey, Richie, we're not going to do walks or picks today.
Arizona's largest locally owned A-plus BBB rated towing company is All City Towing. They're always looking to add motivated and competitive team members. Do you fit the bill? If so, head on over to allcitytowing.com/careers for more information.
Get ready for double the fun on the 101. Introducing the Salt River Rewards Program at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort, the Valley's newest and best. With multiple tiers and endless benefits, we've got something for everyone. Don't miss out on the excitement. Salt River Rewards, the Valley's premier player rewards program, now at Casino Arizona and Talking Stick Resort. 2 properties, 1 amazing club, offering limitless fun on the 101. Discover the best in the Valley at saltriverrewards.com.
Twin Peaks is the best in the game. Here, it's bigger game days and bolder fight nights. I mean, where else can you find a scratch kitchen that always comes in clutch every day from lunch to late night? Only at Twin Peaks, the #1 sports bar.
When you use your electric vehicle in autopilot or self-driving mode, accidents can still happen. Whether you're considered at fault or not, you may still have a claim. Lerner & Rowe has a dedicated team skilled in this new science. We are the first law firm in America with the ability to review the proprietary software and hold electric vehicle manufacturers responsible. If you or a loved one were injured in an electric vehicle accident, call Lerner & Rowe today.
Lerner & Rowe is the way to go. Call 977-1900.
Life's a sprint. Need G2G protein bars. Grab and go fuel for the office, links, and daily grind. Score an 8-pack at Costco or explore flavors at G2GBar.com. Quick, delicious, power-packed G2G protein bars. Setting your pace.
Need an all-in-one wireless copier and printer or IT help for your business? Call Document Solutions of the Valley, the official copier and IT solutions company for Rock and Manuch with Jimmy B. Document Solutions is leading the Valley in business solutions for copier and IT service. They'll support your business no matter how big or small. Take advantage of either buying, leasing, or renting many makes and models of copiers. For a free quote, call 623-252-8282. Document Solutions of the Valley. Our service can't be copied.
Need an electric charger installed or a TV mounted? Contact AC Electrical Family at aceelectricalfamily.com
because
or call
it's such a new era of college football. So I think people playing that game will get familiar with the new alignments, but not only that, but they'll get familiar with the Electrical Family. I think the engagement's going to be up.
Investing in a high-quality misting
I know
system
Jalen Miller from
will be
Bam. I
the
used to play
coolest
with him all the
decision you
time.
ever made for your home patio, pool area, or commercial property.
Yeah, and how many
original
guys have
manufacturer of
moved everywhere.
high-pressure
There's so
systems
much.
is one of the pioneers in the
I
misting
can follow it, but the
industry for
typical
over
average fan,
35
I mean, you
years.
can follow it
Let
too.
Fronco transform your outdoor
average
living
fans
and
out there for
entertainment
college
areas
football, it's
into a
tough to
cool
follow,
and soothing tropical showcase. If you're looking for quality, reliability, and value, get a free quote at fogco.com. That's fogco.com.
The free iHeart app has over 100 commercial-free stations like Real Fun Beach Radio.
Real Fun Beach Radio gives you that toes in the sand beach music vibe 24/7. Just open the app, search Real Fun Beach Radio, and start listening out to iHeartRadio. Free never sounded so good.
A small commitment at least one day a week helps reduce ground level
Really?
ozone pollution and helps
It
them all
just sucks
breathe
because NIL's purpose was
Walk
for
to lunch.
guys to get
drive-thru and
brand
go
deals with
inside.
like Nike
Visit
or like John Deere, sponsorship stuff. It was never like to pay to play or to persuade people to go to your school and give them a certain amount of money, or I'm going to get $2 million to stay here. Same with the portal. The portal is supposed to be like an opportunity for kids to like go somewhere else. Now it's just the NCAA is just not setting any rules, and it's just everyone can do whatever they want. It's just like they should have set rules to begin
The
with.
foundation they need is Miracle Grow 25 quart potting mix on special buy, 2 for $16. Get summer savings happening now.
Texas
at the Home
did one
Depot.
early
How to
before,
get
yeah.
more done.
Time for the best bets, locks, and daily wager picks, courtesy of the CAZ Sportsbook in Casino, Arizona. Now joining the guys is CAZ Sportsbook expert Casey Walsh. Exclusively on Fox Sports 910.
Anything's possible!
Haven't heard this in a while. Welcome back, Casey. We've missed you.
Appreciate it, guys. Happy to be back. Casey, how are you feeling? A big week for Boston. You guys clinch the Eastern Conference Finals. You face a tough team in the Mavericks. First question, how are you feeling personally as a Boston Celtics fan? And second question, what's the sportsbook's been seeing here in terms of the NBA Finals?
Personally excited about it. I mean, I thought they'd get to the finals. I personally didn't think they would win it. I thought Denver would get there. I think this is probably the most favorable matchup for them. So excited that way. Sportsbook wise, I have the series right now priced at Celtics minus 215. Seeing quite a bit of money so far coming in on the Celtics to win the series, but the games I think will change a lot of what comes in.
So you've been pretty consistent on your thoughts about the Celtics and the fact that you didn't think they'd win it. Has that changed at all now that we know who they're playing? The fact that they're not playing Denver, which is what we all thought when the playoffs started, and now it's the Dallas Mavericks on the other side. Does that change your outlook at all?
I do like them now against the Mavericks, especially if they can get Porzingis back. Obviously, they had a lot of time off, but I think Porzingis is huge for him in the series.
That's one thing that's interesting, too. We were looking at the odds in our last segment. Porzingis odds are on sportsbooks everywhere. Are Porzingis odds on the CAZ Sportsbook, and is that because they expect him to play in Game 1, or what have you been hearing in terms of Porzingis' availability for Game 1?
Yeah, expecting him to definitely be available for the series. There were possibilities of him coming back in the Pacers series. Didn't come back, wasn't really needed. Even though I do feel the Pacers gave away 3 of those games, but
It was a war of attrition, though. Like we talked about, and no disrespect to the Celtics, because you play whoever's in front of you, but you look at their path. It was not the most challenging path to the finals to begin with, and then you look at just the amount of injuries that happened on the teams that they were going to line up against and how they ended up. You look at this Knicks team. I don't think they would have beat the Celtics if they would have gotten to that point. But if they would have stayed healthy, I think it would have been a much different scenario. And there's a lot of factors that go into winning championships in professional sports, and I think it's fair to say that luck is one of them. Like, can you keep your guys healthy? And what are your opponents showing? And I think in both cases that lines up favorably for the Celtics.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, yeah. Every series they played, big players were out. I mean, they didn't play the Bucks, but you still had the Bucks. You had Giannis, you had Dame. Tons of injuries in the East this year.
Yeah, most definitely.
So Mavericks 6.5-point underdog. Are you seeing any action on the Mavericks or the Celtics as terms of Game 1? I know the series why you're seeing a lot of money on the Celtics. Are you still seeing that in terms of Game 1? What are some popular bets you've seen there?
So far only the series. Only thing we haven't really seen any side bets yet. If anything, all we've seen is total. Opened at 214.5. We've seen unders coming in on that. So expecting that to be more sharp.
Well, and that was going to be our next question, because Jackson and I every week when we're doing our picks, we're looking at things and numbers. The point totals kind of catch your eyes on how the guys that set those numbers look at the games, look at the teams, look at the matchup. And there was one game, and I can't remember what it was somewhere in the Eastern Conference, that you had a total under 200 points in an NBA.
Oh, that was the Timberwolves Nuggets game. I think it was Game 6 or Game 7.
And that would just that jumps off the paper at you. Do you see a lot of people here playing around with the totals?
Yeah, quite a bit. I mean, you're sharper. What they consider your more professionals tend to be on the unders a lot more. But like that game, like you were talking, it was game 7. It was 199.5. And then you had a couple in the first round Cleveland Knicks series as well. But when any guests now see under 200, they just all flock to bet in the over.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because before the NBA playoffs started, you said on the show that, hey, we're going to tend to favor the unders here because they always said the total is high. And I know that Cavs Magic series specifically, unders were hitting every single game. You being a sports betting expert, what do you see, I guess, in the NBA Finals? The nerves, not a lot of players have been playing the NBA Finals. 214.5, is that kind of a low total you see? Is it a high total? How do you kind of see that in terms of, I guess, past NBA Finals game 1, and how do you see that for this matchup?
So for this matchup, I mean, I think the 214, 215 was fair. I think your professionals are going to tend to bet the under. Your recreational are going to bet the over. So I figure it's going to settle somewhere in where it is right now, and then they'll make the adjustments in the later games. The totals tend to be lower just because the possessions mean more. Teams try to slow it down. Celtics will try to get up tempo, move the ball up and down the court, but I think Dallas is going to try to slow it down.
Wrapping things up here at Casino Arizona, the CAZ Sportsbook with Casey from the Sportsbook. We're getting ready to head out of here, but Casey just started his day, so if you're out and about, come out and see him. As friendly as he sounds on the radio, if you come up to the counter or want to ask him some questions, need some help from him, he'll take good care of you. All right, football. We're sitting here at it's June 1st, believe it or not, already. To us, we were talking about totals and things like that. Real quickly as we wrap up, when did people really start getting serious about putting some money down on football?
Some money's already come in for sure. They'll start to bet it right around August. For instance, there's one service that's pretty big out there called Raz, Right Angle Sports.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, they released actually Carolina Panthers over 4.5 wins. So we saw a good amount of money come in on that.
I wish we had some more time. Casey, good stuff as always. Good to see you. Like I said, we're wrapping up here. Casey just started his day. Come on out to the Casino Arizona CAZ Sportsbook. See Casey and the team. They're awesome. Everybody here at the Sportsbook, take good care of you. Always enjoy our time out here. Don't forget, Rock and Minucci with Jimmy B, Monday through Friday, 1 to 4. They'll be here at Casino Arizona. We'll see you next Saturday, 11 a.m. right here on Fox Sports 910.